What would you do if you settled into your first-class seat, earned through years of grit and sacrifice, only to have someone look at you like you didn't belong? What if that someone decided to make it their mission to push you out, not knowing they were about to tangle with the wrong man? Picture this: a packed flight from Dallas to D.C., tension crackling in the air, and a showdown brewing that no one saw coming. Not the passengers, not the crew, not even the woman who thought she held all the cards. How far would privilege take her before it crashed and burned? And what happens when a quiet black man with a badge decides he's had enough? Buckle up, because this isn't just a flight, it's a reckoning, and it's going viral. Before we dive in, if you're ready for a story that'll grip you from takeoff to landing, smash that like button and hit subscribe. Trust me, you won't miss what's coming. Let's roll. The recycled air of Dallas-Fort Worth International hummed around me as I sank into the plush leather of my first-class seat. To be my hard-earned turf on this Dallas to D.C. run. I flipped open my laptop, the screen's glow slicing through the dim cabin like a beacon, and dove into work. 15 years in the FBI had turned flights like this into my second home. Always first class now, a quiet triumph for a black man who'd climbed a ladder rig to trip me up. Back in '09, I was 30, shivering in an unmarked sedan on a stakeout in East Texas, sipping coffee that tasted like burnt asphalt, my breath fogging the windshield as a lead vanished into the humid dark. My partner then, a white guy from Plano named Rick, cracked jokes about my luck, his smirk barely hiding the jab. I'd gritted through it, proving myself case by case, bust by bust, until the brass couldn't ignore me anymore. Now, at 46, I had a window seat, a bourbon waiting, and a briefing in D.C. tomorrow that could crack a trafficking ring wide open. Cartel mules slipping through El Paso, a case I'd tracked for months, losing sleep over wiretaps and dead-end snitches. These rare mid-air hours were gold. Time to hammer out reports, fire off emails, and brace for the chaos ahead. I wasn't wasting a second. I was 3 paragraphs in the latest intel: border hops, stash houses, a snitch who'd gone dark after a shaky call last week, when a boarding shuffle stalled beside me. I didn't look up, too locked in, my fingers flying over the keys. Then came the thud. A designer handbag hit the floor like a judge's gavel, demanding attention. I flicked my eyes left. She was mid-50s, dripping in Dallas money, tailored camel coat, heels sharp as switchblades, blonde hair dyed to mask the years, a faint coffee stain marring her cuff. Karen Whitmore. Her name would hit me later, barked into a phone pre-takeoff like she owned the terminal. She stood there, stiff as a mannequin, her gaze darting from me to the seat next to mine, like she'd walked into a scene she hadn't scripted. I knew that look. Seen it too many times. On beat cops who randomly patted me down in South Dallas in the '90s, on store clerks trailing me through aisles with their hands on walkie-talkies, on witnesses who froze when this black man flashed an FBI badge instead of a rap sheet. The jaw tight, lips pursed, brain scrambling to process me. A 6'2" black guy in a crisp suit, sitting where she'd staked her claim. She smoothed her coat, fingers lingering like she was stalling, then dropped into 2A. Her spine stayed rigid, shoulders squared, like she was perched on a ledge instead of a $5,000 ticket. Her knuckles whitened on the armrest for a split second before she exhaled, slow and controlled, the kind of breath you take to keep from snapping. I could feel it rolling off her in waves. What's he doing here? I kept my eyes on my screen, playing oblivious. But I clocked everything. The rustle of her coat as she shifted, the faint Chanel number 5 clashing with the jet fuel tang. The way her exhale carried a sting of indignation. Observation's my trade. Been that way since I was a kid on cracked South Dallas sidewalks, dodging trouble while my mom, Miss Evelyn, worked doubles at the diner, her voice in my ear. Keep your head down, James, but your eyes sharp. Folks will test you every damn day. She'd been right. From the academy, where instructors grilled me twice as hard, to my ex-wife LaToya leaving after too many late nights, I'd built a life on reading rooms before they read me. Now, divorced, hauling a body that creaked from chases and stakeouts, I didn't need Karen to spell it out. She thought my black skin didn't fit her first-class fantasy. She squirmed again, crossed her arms, uncrossed them, tapped her manicured nails against her elbow like a countdown to meltdown. 3 adjustments in under a minute. Textbook discomfort. I kept typing, letting her stew, knowing she'd crack. I'd seen it before. Folks like her always did when their world tilted off script. She muttered under her breath, "This is ridiculous," her voice tight, fraying at the edges. Then, right on cue, she broke. "Excuse me," she said, voice polite but edged with venom, smooth as a snake oil pitch. "Are you sure you're in the right seat?" I didn't flinch. Been waiting for it. "Yes," I said, flat and final, eyes still on my report. No explanation, no apology. She'd get nothing from me. She froze, lips parting like she'd expected me to fold, to justify my black ass in her pristine bubble. When I didn't, her stare burned into me, searching, judging, hunting for a crack. I kept typing, cool as a winter creek. I'd faced worse, suspects with Glocks, brass who'd rather I stayed a beat cop, a world that still saw me as an outlier despite the badge. If she thought I groveled to soothe her ego, she'd picked the wrong fight. Silence stretched, thick as Texas heat, until her hand twitched upward. She jabbed the call button like it owed her rent money, the plastic clicking loud enough to turn heads. Emily, the flight attendant, blonde, mid-30s, pro smile welded on despite the exhaustion creasing her eyes, glided over, her sneakers silent on the carpet. "Everything okay, ma'am?" Emily asked, voice smooth as boarding music. Karen forced a laugh, light but brittle, like glass about to shatter. "I think there's a little mix-up," she said, leaning in a mix-up like it was her lifeline. "I'm pretty sure this gentleman's in the wrong seat." Emily glanced at me. James Carter, black, suit sharp but not flashy, a duffel stashed under my seat. Then tapped her tablet. "Actually, Mr. Carter's in 2B, his assigned seat. You're in 2A, ma'am. No mix-up here." Boom. Karen's face flickered, lips parting, then snapping shut. Her fingers dug into the armrest, harder this time, nails leaving faint marks. She wasn't used to no. "Are you sure?" She pressed, voice thinning, grasping at straws. "I just assumed. I'm sure." Emily cut in, firm but polite, shutting it down. Karen huffed, turning to the window like it had savored dignity, her reflection glaring back in the glass. But I knew better. She wasn't done. She was reloading, her mind racing for a new angle. The cabin was waking up now. Across the aisle, a 60-something ex-Marine, buzz cut, faded eagle tattoo peeking from his sleeve, muttered, "Here we go," under his breath, his gruff voice carrying years of bar fights and barracks. In row 3, a 30-year-old influencer, ponytail, phone already out, whispered, "This is gold," to her live stream, her followers pinging in real time with fire emojis. Up in row 5, a harried mom, 40s, shushed her fidgety kid, a boy in a Spider-Man shirt, but couldn't peel her eyes away, her purse clutched like a shield. A slick 50-year-old lobbyist in row 4, someone I'd busted for tax fraud in 17, a weasel named Ted Grayson, smirked, recognizing me, whispering to his seatmate, "She's about to crash and burn." A young couple in row 6, early 30s, traded glances, the guy muttering, "She's got nerve." This was turning into theater, and I was center stage. Minutes ticked by, and the tension next to me coiled tighter. Karen crossed her arms, uncrossed them, tapped her foot like a metronome on edge. I caught her muttering again, "Unacceptable, just unacceptable," as she fumbled with her coat, the coffee stain glaring like a badge of her bad day. She'd been on the phone pre-boarding, barking at some assistant named Cheryl. "I don't care if the gate's late. Get me on that plane." Now, her energy was unraveling, spilling over. Then, like a dam bursting, she slammed the call button again. Harder, desperate, the sound echoing in the cabin. Emily reappeared, smile tighter now, a hint of steel in her posture. "Something else I can help you with?" Karen sucked in a breath, steeling herself like she was about to storm a boardroom. "I'd like a seat change," she said, low and clipped, her voice pitching up at the end like a demand dressed as a request. Emily's brow ticked up. "Is there a problem with the seat?" "No." Karen snapped, too fast, her composure cracking. "I just prefer to sit somewhere else." Emily's eyes flicked to me, then back. Let me see what's available. She tapped her tablet, dragging it out, giving Karen a beat to rethink her life choices. The ex-Marine smirked, shaking his head like he'd seen this movie before. The influencer zoomed in, muttering, "Real Housewives Energy, Dallas Edition." The mom went statue still, whispering to her kid, "Hush, baby, this is grown folk mess." Ted the lobbyist leaned forward, grinning like a shark smelling blood. Emily looked up. "We're full in first class. 2 seats open in economy, though." Karen pounced, her eyes lighting with triumph. "Perfect. He can take one." There was the gut punch. Not just her escape, my exile. Like my black skin was the problem. She could shuffle to the back of the plane, out her sight. The air shifted. The influencer gasped, "Oh, damn." Into her phone, her followers spiking to 5K live viewers. The ex-Marine growled, "Unbelievable," loud enough to ripple through the rows. Ted chuckled. "She's done." The mom clapped a hand over her mouth, eyes wide, whispering, "Lord have mercy." The young couple in row 6 froze, the woman hissing, "Did she just—" Emily's face stayed neutral, but her voice hardened, cutting through the hum like a blade. "Ma'am, are you asking me to move Mr. Carter to economy because you don't want to sit next to him?" Karen blinked, caught, but doubled down, her chin jutting out defiantly. "Yes." A ripple tore through the cabin. Gasps, stifled laughs, a low "she didn't" from the back. The mom shook her head, muttering, "Some people." The influencer's live stream hit 10K viewers mid-flight. Hashtags popping. Hashtag first class fiasco. Hashtag Karen strikes again. The ex-Marine leaned forward, elbows on his knees, watching like it was a prize fight. Ted clapped a hand on his seatmate's shoulder, laughing, "She's toast now." I'd had enough. I reached into my jacket, slow and deliberate, and pulled out my leather case. "Flip it open." My FBI badge gleamed under the cabin lights, gold and authority slicing through her nonsense like a hot knife through butter. The cabin sucked in a collective breath. Phones shot up. The influencer zoomed in, gasping, "Holy SH*T." The ex-Marine nodded, a rare grin cracking his stone face, muttering, "Knew he was something." Ted laughed outright, slapping his knee. The mom's kid piped up, "Mommy, he's a cop." Earning a quick hush. Karen froze, eyes wide, like she'd stepped on a live wire. I let it hang, heavy and electric, the weight of it sinking in, every eye in first class locked on us. Then I leaned in, voice low and steady, honed from years of staring down perps in dim rooms. "Ma'am," I said, "you want to file a complaint? I can take your statement right now, official capacity." Her face drained white. She gripped the armrests like they'd keep her from drowning, her nails digging into the leather. The cabin went dead silent, every breath held, waiting. She swallowed, hard, gaze darting. Me, Emily, the audience she'd accidentally created. Her lips twitched, and she tried to laugh. "Oh, please, that's fake." But Emily cut in, voice like steel. "No, ma'am, it's real." The silence stretched, unbearable. Karen's eyes flicked to the badge again, then away, her breath shallow. She opened her mouth, closed it, then finally shook her head, barely a whisper. No complaint." "All right, then." I snapped the badge shut, slid it back into my pocket, and reopened my laptop. Back to work. The cartel wouldn't wait, and neither would I. For me, it was over. For her, it was just starting. Karen Whitmore wasn't some random seat hog. She was a Dallas real estate titan, 55, who'd clawed her way up from a Plano trailer park to a glass-walled office downtown, a name in the skyline. I'd pieced it together mid-flight. Overheard her barking at an assistant named Cheryl about a DC investor. A luxury condo deal to save her empire after a Badland flop cost her millions 2 years back. She'd been on edge pre-boarding, spilled coffee on her blouse at the gate, snapped at the agent for a delayed call, her voice echoing, "I don't care, Cheryl, get me on that damn plane." Now me, a black man in her first class, was the final straw. She wasn't evil, just fraying, her control slipping, and I was the thread she yanked, thinking she could pull it all back together. The fallout hit like a Texas twister. By takeoff, the influencer's shaky video was at 50K views, thanks to onboard Wi-Fi. Passengers refreshed their phones, whispering her name after she'd shouted it into that call. Karen Whitmore. Yes, Whitmore Properties. Get it done. The ex-Marine offered me a nod as we taxied. Gruff but genuine. Good show, son. The mom smiled faintly, her kids still buzzing about the cop. By landing at Reagan National, the video was at 250K and climbing. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, the works. Comments flooded. She thought she'd win that. Badge guy's my hero. Hashtags trended. Hashtag badge drop. Hashtag Karen down. Reporters swarmed the gate before the jet bridge opened, mics thrusting like spears. Ms. Whitmore. Comment on the viral clip? Did you know he was a Fed? Regrets. She stumbled off, heels snapping as she hit the ramp. A karmic cherry on top, her coat flapping like a wounded bird, her face flushed with panic. A crowd gathered, phones out, passengers from economy spilling into the terminal with their own clips. I slipped past, unnoticed, blending into the chaos, my duffel slung over my shoulder, until a rookie journalist cornered me, mic trembling. Agent Carter, any comment? I deadpanned, just trying to get a burger, and kept walking, the terminal's buzz fading behind me. By night, her name was a wildfire. Whitmore Properties stock dipped 4% from the PR hit, analysts citing reputational damage. Her apology tweet, I misspoke, I'm sorry, drowned in memes. Her face on a Karen bingo card caption calls the manager, loses anyway. Her LinkedIn got doxxed. Ex-colleagues dished dirt. She's been a diva since '05, and her investor bailed, emailing her board, optics are untenable. A local Dallas news station ran a segment, From Tycoon to TikTok, the fall of Karen Whitmore, complete with passenger interviews. The influencer, at Dallas Drama Queen, hit 100K followers, hawking badge guy merch by midnight. Me? I grab a Five Guys burger at the airport, the grease soaking through the bag as I finish my report on a sticky table, the cartel case still gnawing at me. Caught the red eye back to Dallas, texting LaToya from the gate. Same old crap, different day. She fired back, you're trending, fool. Hashtag badge guys got fans. I scrolled past the memes, a grainy shot of me with a badge, captioned, when you mess with the wrong one, and ignored it. The briefing tomorrow mattered more. Cartel busts don't wait for viral fame, and I had a snitch to find. For Karen, it was the beginning of the end, her empire crumbling under 1 million likes. For me? Just another Tuesday, another flight, another fight I didn't start but damn sure finished. Lessons learned. This story teaches us that assumptions can be a one-way ticket to humiliation, especially when they're rooted in prejudice. James Carter, a black FBI agent, didn't just earn his first-class seat. He earned his right to be there through years of grit and sacrifice. Karen Whitmore's knee-jerk judgment, that he didn't belong, backfired because she underestimated him, blinded by her own privilege. The lesson here? Don't judge a book by its cover, because the pages you can't see might just rewrite your whole story. It's a reminder to check our biases at the gate, whether it's about race, class, or anything else, before they trip us up in front of a crowd that's ready to record it all. Message conveyed. At its core, this tale is about justice prevailing, not with fists or shouts, but with quiet strength and undeniable truth. Carter's calm defiance and that badge reveal flipped the script on Karen's power play, showing that real authority doesn't need a flex. It just stands firm. The message hits hard. Privilege might buy you a seat, but it can't buy you respect or shield you from consequences when you overstep. In a world where social media amplifies every misstep, the story whispers a warning. Tread carefully, because the court of public opinion doesn't mess around. It's a modern morality play, proving that dignity and resilience can outshine entitlement every time. Personal perspective. From where I stand, this story feels like a victory lap for anyone who's ever been doubted, dismissed, or sized up wrong. As someone who's watched the world shift, from the days when Carter's presence in first class might have raised more eyebrows, to now, where it's still a fight for some to see past skin, this hits home. I love how Carter didn't just take it. He owned it, turning Karen's arrogance in her own trap. It's not just about race, though that's the heartbeat here. It's about every underdog who's had to prove they belong, only to watch the doubters crumble. Karen's downfall isn't the win. It's Carter's unshaken cool that steals the show. To me, it's proof that the quiet ones often carry the biggest punch. Loved this wild ride of story? Want more tales that twist, turn, and leave you thinking? Then don't miss out. Follow and subscribe to Story Precious right now. We're dropping the latest videos packed with drama, heart, and lessons you won't forget, just like this one. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're first in line for every new drop. Join the Story Precious crew, because every story's a gem, and we've got plenty more where this came from.